was convinced that I was going to spend my retirement, as a deacon. So faced with this decision was very, very, very difficult. But I'm actually doing things that I did as a deacon now as a writer. So it does present another challenge, and I feel that I was guided to go down this direction.
Yes. Now, with your book, is this the last one, or do you think another will come up?
No, actually, I have thoughts on another one. The next one will be a fictional book, but it'll be done with a with a goal in mind, and that's going to be it's basically going to be very similar in the sense of trying to help people come to an understanding of who God is and how can they find him in their life, and whatever that life may be. So it's going to be it's going to be taking place in a tavern, actually. And there's this guy in the tavern who likes to talk about God only if people want to. He's not pushy or anything, but various people know him there, and a lot of them approach him. Yeah, just like you said, I don't believe in God. How could he let this happen, or how can he let that happen? So they have conversations over a beer, and this book is going to be a series of those conversations, and making kind of a case for why one would believe in God in the first place. So that's kind of what I'm working on now. That'll take some time.
That sounds intriguing. That sounds cool. Yeah, that I'm going to call cool. Now, I ask every author this because I find it fascinating because everyone's is different. So while you're writing your book, what was your writing process?
Mm-hmm. I start out with, trying to figure out what it is I want to say from a chapter perspective, and what are the important things that I want to convey. Now, with the Deacon, An Unexpected Life, the first thing I wanted to go into was the hospital. I enjoyed being in the hospital, so I wanted to talk about the hospital in a way that brings the reader in. And then I talk about a call, just like your dad who's going now and through the program. Does he feel called to do that? So that's something that I wanted to explain. The formation, I explain what that's like. The ministry, and in my case, the horror, the battle, that decision, the rejection. Clearly, that was almost as bad as losing my wife. It was almost like another grieving all over again. The peace and the light. And so those were the things that I tried to, segment. And that's how I usually start. I would get, okay, now let me drill down in each one of them. That was my process.
Okay. Yeah. See, that's a different one. I enjoy hearing people's process because, of course, if I were to sit and write a book, mine would be totally different from yours. But it's, your journey, your way of getting to what you would like to say.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. And then, you have to decide, is this book going to be a true story? Is it going to be about your life? Is it going to be about, some experiences you've had? Or is it going to be fiction? Now, if you go fiction, which, my wife bought me this master's program of learning how to write fiction. And I'm kind of taking that now. And it's fun because you can kind of make things up as you go within reason. So again, those are the types of things you have to think about. And these courses are online, so you can take some of those to get an idea and read some of the books that you like, but with a different perspective. Read it about how would I change this if I wrote this book?
Now, when you pick up a book after writing your own book, when you pick up a book to enjoy, you find yourself in that mindset of, ooh, how would I write this if I was the one doing it?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I try to pick up books that, are interesting to me because I'm a slow reader, and if I'm going to invest that kind of time, I figure let me, find out. And usually I end up reading books that are recommended, or similar to other books. But yeah, I would go through it, and I don't consider myself an expert writer by no means, so I'm not one to throw stones, but I do get some ideas from those books, and I'll jot them down. I keep a journal, uh, you know, of interesting things that, that's an interesting concept, but I think I could describe that a little differently.
Mm. Okay. Did young you ever think you'd be a deacon? Like, was that kind of something you thought about when you were younger?
No, no, my parents never went to church. I never had to go to church, but I always did. I don't know why. I didn't understand the word they were saying. It was all in Latin at the time, and but there was a piece I found there, and it's hard to describe. And then, of course, as I got in high school, girls and cars and sports were more important than going to church, and so I kind of broke away. But then in college, I had a strong interest in all religions. I started studying the Eastern religions. I studied, Taoism and Buddhism and Hinduism. And I just couldn't get enough of that, reading all about the, various philosophers and religions. And, and then I actually did full circle coming back to the church, but looking at it differently now and not just going through the motions. I was actually taking my experiences with other ways of viewing the world and seeing how, wow, this is interesting, and so, I guess I, came through this path. I call it the hunger. Some people just have a hunger to learn about those types of things and find out more, and others don't. And there's nothing wrong with not having a hunger. But to get to your question, I had that hunger as a child and didn't understand it, but came back to it. Now, I didn't want to be a deacon right away because I wasn't prepared to, I loved going to vacations with my family and, doing things with them. I had two beautiful children, and I wasn't about ready to commit to going to class every Saturday. I already had my bachelor and master's degree, and I had all that investment of time in. I wasn't going to do that until they got older. So, and that's generally what deacons do. They start the process, age 40 or above.
Mm. Okay. That's cool that it came full circle. Like it was a thought and then came back around to something you actually did and sound like you really enjoyed doing it.
Oh yeah. Well, like I say, I think it, I go into it in the call. I think some people are called to do something that way or not. And if it's a call and it's not just their ego or, you know, then it comes back and it's like consistent. I think that's how it's a call. It's something that, just comes back. And it doesn't have to be a major thing like being knocked off a horse. Sometimes it's just a little whisper, and just a little whisper, but it's consistent. So I think that's how it was for me, and I kind of talk about that in the book a lot too.
Okay. Now at this point, you're retired officially, right?
Oh yeah, yep, officially.
So what are some things that you're doing on the retired? I'm gonna call it the retired plane.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's funny because you look ahead, you look at retirement, and you think, well, I can't wait to retire and do this or do that. I remember taking a class on retirement about, what do you want to do when you retire? And a lot of people would say, oh, I want to buy a boat. I want to move to the shore. I want to move to Florida. I want to, all these things. And when it came around to it, it was my turn. I thought, well, what do I love doing now? I says, my favorite day has always been Saturday. Get up, not having to rush out anywhere. I could read the paper, or I could, to go run some errands. I could do something around the house. But the key was that I could do whatever I wanted to do. And so that was my goal in retirement. And, I worked hard all my life. And so I've achieved that. I could do much of anything. I mean, certainly you can't, travel around the world constantly, but I do like traveling. My wife likes traveling. She's retired as well. And so, yeah, we during COVID, we decided we couldn't go to the gym, so we built a gym in the house. So we have a little gym. We work out. We like walking. We like playing cards. And like read. Both like to read. And so, yeah, we keep pretty busy. Actually, we took up dance lessons, where we go to dance lessons together. And so we actually keep pretty busy. I'm busier now than I've ever been.
So you're thinking and ready of forming a new book. When are people going to see it?
Oh, the new one? Well, I would say probably it's a year away. I'm putting time into marketing this one now and building up my website. My website actually has a little bit more about me. It has more about the book, and it also has some videos of me doing magic. So you can actually see me doing a few different magic tricks in there.
How did you get started doing magic?
Well, I'll tell you what, as a kid, most kids love magic. But
Mm-hmm.
as an adult, someone showed me a trick one time. It was back in the day when everyone was smoking. And he said, let me show you this. And he took a lit cigarette, and he had short sleeve shirts on. And he took that cigarette and made it disappear right in front of my eyes. And I said, where the hell did that go? And like, I couldn't, I thought he would be smoking pretty soon. And I had to find out how he did it. And he wouldn't tell me, which made it even more intriguing for me. And so I started buying books on it. And I finally figured out how he did it. And then I did it. And then I would do it for people. Like someone would be smoking at a party or outside or whatever. And I say, smoking's really bad for you. And I would tell a little story, and I'd take it and I'd make the cigarette disappear. And they would go crazy. And so it became addictive, actually. Next thing you know, I'm doing doing the magic sponge ball tricks. I bought doves, live doves. Me and my daughter are doing magic shows for kids and adults, actually. In fact, she won a trip when she was 9 years old to Las Vegas and performed an escape with Lance Burton in the Monte Carlo casino. So magic's been very good to me, and it's been a great hobby. And it's also a way of helping build relationships and, just, break any ice.
That's actually, you know what? When you say that, that is definitely true. If someone was trying to talk to me and conversate and break an ice, if they did a magic trick that I was fascinated by, then I'm just talking.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. That's exactly what happened. My favorite trick when I got talking to someone, I would have these two sponge balls, and I would show one in my hand, excuse me, and I'd say, you take one and hold it in your hand, and I'll hold the other in my hand. And then I would tell some story depending on the situation. I said, now they're really good friends, but now he's mad at me because they've separated. And I'll say, when I count to three, I'm going to open my hand, and the sponge ball in my hand will be gone. And you open your hand, and there'll be two sponge balls. So their first reaction was, no way. Sometimes they put a little adjective in the middle, no and way. But in any case, when they opened their hand and they saw the two balls, they just went crazy. And they would go get a friend. You got to see this. You got to see that. Next thing you know, I'm doing these two magic sponge ball tricks all night long. So it is fun.
That is fun. That is fun. So tell everyone how they can find you, find the book, follow.
Yeah, well, the easiest thing is just my website, and it's my name, Thomas, Thomas, Fargnoli, F as in Frank, ARGNOLI.com, thomasfargnoli.com. And in there, they can find the link to Amazon if they want to order the book. It's pretty cheap. It's actually, I think it's down to like, I don't know, $7 or something like that. And all proceeds, by the way, don't go to me. They go to suicide awareness. So I don't make any money on the book. And also there's links to get to my magic, links to get to my other interviews. And eventually I have someone now that's interested in making a film out of this, which is crazy. So that's the best way.
Wow, that's pretty neat. Congrats on that. That is awesome.
Thank you.
right. Huh, that is super cool.